When it comes to saving you money on tires, nobody does it better than Big O Tires. Like saving you up to $120 on select sets of Goodyear, Yokohama, Pirelli, and Continental tires now through November 3rd. That's $70 off instantly, plus up to $50 back by mail-in rebate when you purchase using your Big O Tires card. Hurry into Big O Tires and see how much you can save. Big O Tires, the team you trust. For the location nearest you, go to bigotires.com.
Nothing short of winning the AFC Championship will wipe away the disappointment of last season's ending for the Chiefs. But on Sunday, they got a measure of revenge on the team that knocked them from the playoffs, the New England Patriots. The Chiefs won in Foxborough 23-16, and the stars Herbie Teope, Vahe Gregorian, Sam McDowell, and Sam Mellinger talked about it from the Gillette Stadium press box after the game on Facebook Live, now presented as a SportsBeat KC podcast. It's Monday, December 9th, and I'm your host, Blair Kirchhoff. The reporters on the scene discussed the ever-improving Chiefs defense, Patrick Mahomes' hand injury, and the issue with the missing equipment before the game, and several other topics.
Welcome to this edition of Red Zone Extra live from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts, where the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the New England Patriots 23-16. I'm joined on the panel here by Sam McDowell, Sam Mellinger. To his right, Sam McDowell, and to my immediate left is our esteemed columnist, Vahe Gregorian. I'm Herbie Teope. A lot to dissect here, gentlemen. The Chiefs, obviously, with this win, 4th straight AFC division title, did it against a Patriots team that a lot of people are wondering what in the world is going on with them. Some takeaways here. Patrick Mahomes, hurt hand. I know Andy Reid said after the game that he had an x-ray, but there's some of the takeaways that I know that we enjoyed watching was the defense. And I know you wrote about that, Vahe. What about this defense stood out to you?
Well, look, they made plays at critical times, first of all, right? We can start with the last play of the game. A clean swat away by Breeland that needed to be clean because you never know what's going to get called here where the phones don't work.
Especially today.
Especially today. And where the equipment almost didn't work today. But the real pivotal time to me was that first half. There was a sequence of 4 straight series when the Chiefs were already down 7-0, and Patrick Mahomes threw an interception early. Chiefs come up with a 3-and-out. Then they come up with a blocked field goal. Then they come up with an interception. Then they come up with a stop on downs, 4th and 7 stop. And next thing you know, they're going into halftime leading 20-7. And the game was kind of won there. I mean, it could have been lost in the second half, but the defense did enough in the second half, too. The only other Patriots touchdown came when they took over at the 19-yard line after a blocked Dustin Colquitt punt. So, the reason I ended up writing about it was also that this was the defense that was dismantled after the last time they played the Patriots. And you would, I think, say that this chapter was a successful chapter and why they did that. The ultimate questions, of course, are ahead. And the playoffs either against the Patriots or anybody else, right? That's how we're going to define this team.
And Sam, I know you've written about the defense in depth over the last couple of weeks, especially what they did starting with the Los Angeles Chargers of Mexico City, and then you believe that they've turned the corner. What did you see with them this time around?
A lot. I mean, it was more like a continuation of what they've been doing, but just sort of validated against a quality opponent, And I know the Patriots offense isn't what it's been the last couple of years, but it's still top half of the league, as is, by the way, the Raiders and the Chargers offenses are both, at least DVOA, top half of the league. I thought they created problems up front, which has been a real challenge against the Patriots because they get the ball out so quick. They were getting pressure up the middle, which is, sort of the kryptonite on Brady. And the secondary has been really good. I mean, they got called for too many penalties today, but made interceptions. Breeland's play in the end zone that we just talked about, his interception was brilliant too.
It was great. And I heard on the broadcast he did not get credit for it.
They acted like he just got juked into the interception, but that's not what happened.
He juked Brady into that interception.
It's kind of like, it was kind of funny because, remember, you were sitting next to me and I was like, it looked like he baited him into that throw.
Which is exactly what happened. It's the second straight week that we've seen a play made by the secondary that nobody in the secondary could make last year, which is last week, Tyrann Mathieu baited Derek Carr into thinking he was going to continue on with his guy up the middle, but he knew Juan Thornhill was going to be there, so he jumps off his own route man-to-man to go get the interception, and that's what Breland did today. They were in a cover 3 zone, and he bumped Edelman to make Brady think it was man-to-man, and then floated and got the interception. And then like you guys all mentioned, I mean, Breland in the last play of the game, which, I mean, Vahe and I were both in the scrum talking to him, and he told me he knew what route was coming. And we've got guys all of a sudden in this secondary that we talk to all the time that are telling us stuff that's intel based on film. I don't know how many times we had those conversations with guys last year.
I can tell you. I can tell you the exact number.
And what is that exact number, Sam? 0.
But also that intel based on film was such intel that they were sort of eager to shut it down around you. I don't know if you wrote about that yet.
Not yet, but I talked to Tyrann Mathieu and Kendall Fuller did say, hey, we play these guys. We could play these guys again this year. So, but I think it's going to probably show up on the Patriots film that they knew something was coming here, and they did.
Speaking of knowing something was coming here, what about the equipment? I mean, there was a lot of flurry of activity, plenty of flurry activity before the game started. And Sam, I know you had mentioned after the game, or even after we got back up here into the press box, you had mentioned you had heard some stuff downstairs of what exactly happened with the equipment snafu. So take us through that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, what do we add up? 35 guys that didn't have their equipment. They just so the plane brought everything here, but they didn't unload everything. So it continued on to New Jersey, right?
Yep.
And so they had to. I don't know how. I know it was ground transportation to get it over here, but Patrick Mahomes said he was one of the guys, so he didn't have anything. He didn't have his cleats, didn't have the hoodie that we always see him warm up in, the tights and the sweats that he always warms up in, and that for the initial warm-ups. Viewers probably don't know this. They go out and kind of get in their initial routine. It's more on their own, and then they have the team warm-ups later. And by that time, the equipment had come, but. I mean, everyone's kind of going based on borrowed wardrobes at that point. Now, they do carry extra stuff just in case this happens, which I guess the humorous part in that was somehow the extra stuff made it here. The real stuff didn't make it, but somehow the just in case stuff did, I guess. So.
I was wondering if they mistakenly brought in those AFC West Championship T-shirts in one.
I was shocked that those made it as well, yeah.
Like, what are they doing here?
They could have to just wear those for uniforms, the AFC West champions, as they're playing.
And just so the viewers are clear on this, the Patriots had nothing to do with the shipment from Kansas City to here and then ending up in Foxborough. This was all the Chiefs, correct? This was the Chiefs.
And Reed said it was the first time. He goes, it's the first time in how many ever years I've been coaching that has happened. So this is an unusual occurrence.
But I mean, I think it was interesting because I know Sam Ehlinger tweeted out, it's just kind of like leaving your luggage gets rerouted somewhere. That's kind of like what happened in.
Or leaving your computer.
Well, look, I'm not here to throw stones. All right, I'm not here to throw stones. It happens to the best of us.
What was that?
The thing that would have been interesting would have been two things. One, I think Blair Kirchhoff, one of our executive producers back home, was wondering what would have happened if it were a noon game or 1 o'clock game here. That might have been more problematic. Maybe the Chiefs would have been on the schedule that they had the same discovery earlier, but that's a compressed time frame in the morning, and it still required a police escort to get in here.
That's my favorite part of the story.
Yeah, I really wish we could have
been. Like a bunch of helmets got a police escort.
If we had a drone with us to go over that, just bring that cargo in.
Fans are just waiting outside to see who's in there, but it's just a bunch of bags.
A ghost ship coming in. But the other question is, and it's a reasonable question to ask, had it not gotten here, I mean, the talk was it could be subject to forfeit. I say no way that was going to happen. I think they play an hour late before they do that. But it would be interesting to go through the dynamics of that. Like, did the Patriots have a say in that? They have to acquiesce to delaying the start of the game? They just say, no, we want the win?
I think they'd want the win.
It'd be interesting to know, right?
After what happened today, I think you absolutely would take the win. But going back to your point on the Patriots, we've all covered the league for a while. What is wrong with this team? Let's start with you first, Sam. What is wrong with the Patriots today?
I don't know. I mean, let's do the headline, right? They're still 10-3.
Yes.
You know, they're still in a good spot to
Still
get
in
a
the
bye.
2 seed.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think like offensively is the biggest problem right now, and some of that is Brady being 42.
Yes.
He was never agile, but now he's less so. He used to have a really good deep ball. I don't think he has like the velocity, you know, the distance. And I think the other part of it, he's always had a really good offensive line, or usually had a really good offensive line. That's not there anymore. And he's always had playmakers. You know, I think some of this myth, I think, around Brady's been like, no matter who it is, he'll just turn them into guys. Well, now, like, that's not showing up. And I think we're seeing that that's never been, right? You know, like Rob Gronkowski made a huge difference. I mean, he was just an uncoverable guy. I mean, just a unique talent, just a beast, you know, blocking in the run game, and just, you cannot account for him. We've seen the Chiefs try and fail many times to account for him. And now they've got Julian Edelman, who's really good, and they've got James White out of the backfield. But other than that, they got nothing. And I think we talked about this earlier in the week, right? Like, NFL teams, especially the Patriots, will never tell you anything verbally, but they'll tell you a hell of a lot with what they do. And a team that brings in Josh Gordon, a team that you know, makes the trade for Antonio Brown, and you know, and then another trade for Mohamed Sanu. I think they're telling you that they don't have playmakers, that they need that they need that support, and they don't have it.
What about you, Sam? Is this a game that, if the Chiefs meet the Patriots again in the playoffs, because Clark Hunt mentioned that specifically, that he believes that they will see the Patriots again in the playoffs, how much does this game here, the way they beat the Patriots in Foxborough, give the Chiefs that kind of confidence if they do face them again in the postseason?
That's a good question, because I mean, right now they would face them again, right? 3 versus 2 seed if the Chiefs would advance past that first game. So to me, though, today said more about the Patriots than it did the Chiefs, and I know that aspect of it is probably important for the Chiefs, mentally aspect, knowing they can come in here and win if they do it again. Although, to me, when you lose on the last play of the game twice last year, you already knew you could beat this team. So I didn't think that was a big hurdle they had to get over, unless they just got drilled today. Obviously, that didn't happen. But, I mean, the Patriots have lost, and Sam and I were talking about this during the game, they've now lost to the Texans, Ravens, and Chiefs in the last month and a half. So if you're the Patriots, how are you feeling about yourselves right now? You've lost to 3 teams in the AFC, probably the next 3 best teams. So I know a lot of times in the past there's sort of been questions about, is the dynasty over? To me, though, that team I saw today isn't a Super Bowl contender.
One quick point on that. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, one of, I think, all of our favorite people to talk to, we started talking about a bunch of different things. I said, are they still the team to beat? And he kind of like paused, and he's like, basically said, like, I don't want to disrespect them, but I think everybody knew that record they had in the first half of the season, the schedule was going to get a lot tougher, and that's showing up. I think, you know, look, they're still the champs and all that, but I think there is a feeling that maybe not like changing of the guard, like you still have to beat them in the playoffs, right? But some of us thought that it was like the Chiefs and Patriots and just a bunch of other guys named Fred, right? And now I think, if nothing else, we're seeing that there's 4 teams that are sort of worthy of winning the AFC.
One thing, just to add a little bit to some of these things, the defensive numbers were really skewed. Obviously now more and more so, it's evident that skewed by the schedule. In the Patriots' 10 wins, they gave up no more than 14 points. In the 3 losses to the Chiefs, Ravens, and Texans, they've given up I think a minimum of, I think this one's the lowest.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of thing. And then one of the things, I didn't end up mentioning this in the article kind of on the defense, where it probably would have been a good fit, but I didn't mention the number specifically, but 72 of the Patriots yards came today. 72 of their 278 yards today came on trick plays.
Yeah.
Those were their only 2 plays longer than 19 yards. So one was 37 and one was 35.
Breland said something about that, partially because he was the guy that got beat on both trick plays. But he said, you know, they basically had to use trick plays to.
But I think that's the
gain
implication.
Yardage. Yeah,
right?
they had a period of 6 drives today, where they had 30 plays in those 6 drives and had 95 yards.
Yeah.
They were averaging less than 3 yards a play over the middle of the game.
So you put those 2 things together, and you do think this is, you know, a vulnerable Patriots team. But again, we go back to that, you know, what's going to happen in the postseason, and believe it when you see it. But I do think the Ravens right now are the team to beat.
Yeah, I do too.
It's different for the Chiefs though, because they come in to, I mean, for years and years this team winning a division title would have been gigantic.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of an afterthought. I know they had the hats and T-shirts, but Herbie, I know you talked to a lot of guys about that part specifically. I'm wondering just how they handled
Well, I can tell you how Frank
winning
Clark
the
handled
division.
it.
Well, yeah, how does Frank Clark handle it?
I mean, we're after dark, right?
We're after dark.
It don't mean shit.
And you know what?
he put
And
it.
the wording on the T-shirt pretty much said that too. The West is not enough. And you know, the players I talked to all basically said the same thing, because there is unfinished business. You know, they have their eye on potentially, hopefully, with 3 games left, they can make a run for the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, guarantee themselves a bye week. The players I also talked to, they tasted that AFC West, or excuse me, the AFC Championship game last year, one step away from the Super Bowl, and that's where their eye is. You know, okay, so we won the AFC West. It's a major accomplishment, you know, because you always want to go into a season winning a division title, but at the same time, at what point does the division title? Okay, we want more than just the division title, and that's what the players are saying. They want more.
It's amazing how many of those guys, when you kind of went through the locker room, though, and I'm sure this hit Vahe more than the rest of us based on what you wrote about, just weren't here last year, and part of that, though.
Yeah.
But some of those guys, I still think, the way they talk, they still felt it based on being teammates with the guys who went through that last year.
100%. I think that's a really interesting observation. I mean, they're talking as if they were here last year, even though they weren't. They feel where they were. Tyrann Mathieu was one of the first to sort of express it that way. You know, he was talking in terms of that AFC Championship game that, you know, is still looming large in their view screen, right? I mean, that's, and I don't mean the one coming up. I mean the one behind them. That still is sort of the impetus for everything that happened afterwards. And it's a really kind of neat point you're making, that the guys that are new here that didn't experience that have sort of experienced it, you know, through their close teammates.
Yeah.
I think it's a reflection of a team that came within a coin flip of getting to the Super Bowl, and they feel like got better. And I would agree, like at least on paper, that they got better. I mean, I think that's what it is. And it's also like, you think about this, like, I know this isn't how games are won, but like just high-end talent, the Chiefs might have the most in the AFC. You know, like when you talk about like Mahomes and Mitchell Schwartz and Travis Kelce might be the best at their positions. And then there's also, you know, Tyreek Hill, there's Tyrann Mathieu, there's Chris Jones, there's Frank Clark. I mean, that's a lot of studs. That's a lot of guys that can win a game for you right off the top. I think, you know, their confidence, we've seen like unfounded confidence in the Chiefs and many, like every team around the league, around all sports. But this is founded confidence?
I like that.
I don't have as much confidence in my wording there, but yeah, something like that.
Or convicted. No, that means something different. Conviction, confident. Well,
I don't know.
They should be confident.
Somebody else do the words.
I think what my biggest takeaway from this game is the Chiefs are trending up. You know, this is a theme that we've been saying for maybe the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But now that we're in the month of December, 3 games left in the regular season, they are trending up. Their arch rival in the AFC, the Patriots, even though they're 10-3, I think they're trending down. 16 points today, guys. This is the 3rd time out of the last 4 games that the mighty New England Patriots have failed to score 20 or more points. That's not the output, the production that you expect from a Super Bowl champion. And so for me, the Chiefs are trending up, the Patriots are trending down. I think if they meet again in the postseason, the Chiefs should win this game. And I will be remiss if I don't give Sam McDowell here props, because on Thursday at the Big O Tires.
Wait, let me get my recorder on.
At our show at the Big O Tires, the 5 of us on the panel, 4 of us picked the Patriots to win this game. Sam McDowell was the only one who said the Chiefs would win.
That's right.
Why did you have that confidence?
Never would have mentioned it myself, but thanks for bringing it up.
But why the confidence?
It's kind of what I said after the game. It's more about where the Patriots are than where the Chiefs are, because the Chiefs, I think, offensively have a few more concerns than what we all expected going into the season. Even a month ago when Mahomes was out, I think we thought when Mahomes came back everything would be cured. But the Patriots, just their schedule, anytime they faced a tough team, they've struggled. I mean, they're 0-3 now against the AFC playoff team. Or I guess the Bills, so they're 1-3. They're going to play the Bills next week, though, and I don't think that's a gimme for them even.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's a game that could decide whether the Chiefs play in the wild card round.
correct. Yep. But the other thing is that the Chiefs need to keep that 3 seed at this point, because you look at the matchups and you'd rather play here again than have to go to Baltimore if you're the 4 seed and win that first game and have to go on the road.
Should we be concerned with 3 games left in the regular season? How much concern should we be about Patrick Mahomes' injury? He hurt his hand. Coach Andy Reid said he was going in for x-rays, but do we worry about the golden hand?
I think so, specifically because he acknowledged it affected him. And how many times did all of us ask him about his ankle, and it was, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, you know, I can still do everything I could do. Same with the knee when he comes back, and I think we're seeing his pocket presence is different since he came back with the knee. I don't see him hitching up as much in the pocket. It seems to be bailing a lot more, which we talked about during the week. But he acknowledged this was an issue, which tells me it actually was an issue. And Andy Reid said he could even tell by looking at him he wasn't gripping the ball correctly. And he said in his post game that he wasn't throwing the deep ball because of that. And then, you know, I asked him a follow-up. I said, just to be clear, you weren't throwing specifically because of your hand? And he said, well, that and the Patriots were playing too deep. But I still felt like the backtrack was a result of realizing that he had acknowledged that there were some things he couldn't do today.
Vahe, you've been pretty vocal about the injuries. How should the Chiefs approach this with Patrick Mahomes yet again?
Well, look, I probably borrow this term from Sam Mellinger about the idea that bubble wrap would be appropriate in all phases of
Cryo
Patrick's
chamber.
life. You know, one of those sumo costumes that they blow up. You know, just something cryo chamber. But I think the thing is, we never, other than with our Twitter medical degrees, we don't really know what these injuries are, right? And so at a certain point, I'm persuaded that the Chiefs understand that they literally and figuratively could not have more invested, soon will not have the ability to have more invested in Patrick Mahomes than they do. And obviously, it's the long term they have to think about. And I can't imagine they would jeopardize anything, right? So then it's a matter of, do they get proper communication and examination of Patrick and really understand what's there? I guess as we understand it, Patrick did have an x-ray. Do we understand the results of said x-ray?
I don't know.
No.
Not yet.
We don't. So I guess let's just see. But I assume they'd be responsible. It's an interesting question about Patrick, how badly he wants to play, how much flexibility he has in what happens or doesn't happen. But I think Patrick's enough of a team player that he understands, you know, he can't put the team in a bad spot, or, you know, put himself in a spot where he's going to be at risk for being able to play when he needs to play most.
Hypothetical one, not necessarily a hypothetical question, but a blunt question, because I know, like Sam, you like the blunt type stuff, and I'm going to ask you bluntly here. He was saying,
Talking about questions.
he did not want to come out of the game. But to Vahe's point,
phrasing.
to Vahe's point, where he says he doesn't want to hurt the team, did he hurt the team today because he didn't want to come out of the game? And as Sam here mentioned, he wasn't throwing deep, or it did affect his ability to throw the ball.
Well, the reason I'm thinking about it is that Matt Moore was pretty effective when we saw him in the 2.5 or 2 5/8 or whatever games that he played. But no, I think if Patrick Mahomes is breathing and has like 4 workable limbs, I think he's your best option. But I understand where you're coming from. Like I think where he hurts the team is if he does stuff like dives for a first down or whatever that was in a preseason game against the Bengals. He's got to just stay healthy. I think if he's going to hurt the team, it's going to be putting himself in unnecessary bodily harm, risk. And I think he was just trying to play through it.
Yeah, he said
That's
he's
how I
not.
read that.
He said in his post game he's not coming out unless he's being told to come out.
I do think this, this maybe underline your point of, I was just watching The Irishman, the movie on Netflix, and it's kind of like a mob movie, and no spoilers, but one line in there that De Niro says, he says, like, when somebody tells you they're a little concerned, that means they're a lot concerned. And if Patrick Mahomes is saying like it affected him a little bit, it probably affected him more than what he's putting on. So I don't know, like, assuming the X-ray is negative, because he played through it. I don't know what a week can do. If it's healthy, let him go. But You need that guy. You need your guy.
Speaking of some concerns here, the Chiefs special teams, they had some good moments, but they also had a bad moment, the block punt.
Yeah.
I know Dave Tobe just a couple of weeks ago was saying that special teams hasn't been as good as he would like it to be. What did y'all see out of the block punt? To me, from where we were sitting, it just looked a fantastic play.
Like 4 guys had a shot to block.
At least 2 guys could have blocked it. I think the one guy got in the way of the other guy.
Yeah.
And they came from different spots, right? One came off the edge, one came
right up the middle. Yeah, right up the middle.
And that's problematic. I guess I don't know if we got a chance to talk to Dustin or James. It was a little hectic down there, but I
think you talked to. Did you talk to James Winchester?
I talked to James Winchester, but not about that.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't go into that.
But I mean, look, you can't have that. That's got to get shored up. I mean, that was a play that changed the trajectory of this game. I mean, the game was
Pretty much won at that point, yeah.
You know, I know some people at this table might have started typing their game story
Me.
in a certain direction. So
It wasn't just that. I mean, the Chiefs, they were sloppy. Like, between that and, Travis Kelce catching a pass for a first down and then running behind the sticks and
look
then fumbling.
Look at the penalties they had today. And I know this crowd was booing the entire game, but
It was like 8 penalties for like 130 yards or something like that.
10 for
136. Yeah, 10. Okay, 10 for 136. Yeah.
So 136 yards in penalties.
They were sloppy. There were missed passes by the quarterback. There were balls that should have been caught that weren't. It was sloppy. I did think the offensive line was pretty good. Am I wrong about that? I thought the line was pretty good.
Because that was a major factor in last year's both of last year's matches.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's too much sloppiness.
I tell you, a thing that I'm wondering about is Sammy Watkins. He's been remarkably inconsistent, and that first pass of the game, I mean, it wasn't a perfect pass, but it's like you're a professional athlete. I think you need to catch it, and I think we observed several times where he didn't feel like he was finishing plays.
No, I didn't think so at all. That pass early, he just looked like a statue, like hit him in the arm. And it was thrown behind him, but make an effort. There was another play where he got held by Gilmore on I think it was a third down, third and short. He ran a little slant. Gilmore had his left arm, so you can't fault the guy for that. Another missed call. But the officials had a really bad day.
They did have a bad day.
Man, they had a bad day.
Both ways, the officials were just awful today.
Yeah.
How many flags did they pick up?
3. So they had 3 flags, but they called it and then just announced that there was no penalty. And obviously, I mean, Patriots fans are right on those 2 calls. Like, they should have had a touchdown. Now, both of them were the same drive, but they should have had a touchdown twice on that drive. The pick up when they picked up Travis Kelce's fumble. Gilmore could have been gone. Now Tyreek Hill was closing pretty fast. As if it was Damian Williams carrying the football.
Yeah.
But then the guy was never out of bounds. And they only got a field goal out of that. And then all of a sudden they're down 3, and because they got 3 points instead of 4, or instead of 7, they lost out on 4 points. So they're kicking a field goal at the end of the game to tie it probably there instead. But God, there were a lot of bad calls on both sides. Patrick Mahomes got crushed out of bounds on a play that would have been an automatic first down that just wasn't called.
Yeah.
And I also thought on the one where the guy was in bounds and not called out, Tyrann Mathieu got blatantly blocked in the back on that play. That it's kind of forgotten.
Let's go this route here. You mentioned that the special teams is a concern. We do know that the defense had a phenomenal game. Patrick Mahomes, I will say, rebounded after setting consecutive career low in passing yards. But if you had to grade this game, and I know our colleague Blair writes grades, but what would you give this Chiefs win? An A, a B, a C? Let's start with you, Sam. And why?
Yeah, I mean, the initial reaction is an A because nobody's won in this building in 2 years. But I think since the end of last season, I think we've been talking about this season is not about the regular season. This is about can you win a Super Bowl? And I don't think that they can win a Super Bowl playing like that. I think the offense has to be better. They still won, so you can't go too low. But I think I'd say a C.
I think he summed it up extremely well. It's just if you're grading it purely on how much confidence does this give you and what this team can do at the end of the season, a B maybe. You know, it's mentally like that block that you mentioned of beating the Patriots, coming back in here. If you do have to do that in January and think you can win again, maybe it does more for you. There's a lingering effect there, but actually how they played, yeah, I mean, probably a B. I mean, the defense was great, so I think they're carrying the weight on that.
It's 3 games in a row they won because of defense.
Yes.
And look, I'd go B plus ish.
What a homer.
Somewhere in there. I know. I can't believe it. This win at New England is that. But no, and I don't disagree with your reasoning, but I think the thing I have in mind is that it matters less what we think about this win than what fuel it gives this team. And I think you come out of here, if you're the Chiefs, and you feel like, all right, first of all, we don't have to be afraid of the big bad Patriots. Now, it's not a playoff game, but I think you come out of here thinking, okay, we can hold our own. I think the defense really is on this upward track now, where they have reason to believe. It's not just they do believe, to paraphrase something you said earlier, Sam. And the offense has been a little bit out of whack, but I kind of feel like that's going to still work out okay. I don't really get why it's out of whack, but I think that these things will pick up. Of course, it does depend a little bit on Patrick's condition.
Yeah, and I think.
What about you?
That's what I was ready to say. That Vahe and Sam give them a B. I'm gonna go with Sam Mellinger here. I'm gonna say a C plus, because we just have not seen a complete game yet. I think every time you come close, I thought the Chiefs were going to be very close this time around, but then the block punt, because you can't have those kinds of mistakes, because if the Patriots capitalize there and then capitalize again, this is a completely different game, and all of a sudden my gamer is rewritten. Sam always tells me, knock on wood, every time I start writing, but it's a C plus. I think it's a C plus. Yeah, I think it's a C plus. Final thoughts from Foxborough?
For me, just it's a fine day for the Chiefs, and I feel like they didn't have to win this game, but I think it restores a little sense of order to what you thought this season might be for them.
For me, it's just they've sort of put a stamp on the fact that they have more than one way to win a football game now. And last year, we all knew that they had to outscore people to win football games, and now that there's a few different elements, and the teams that win in January don't just rely on one element of the game.
That's a hell of a point. I think that I've probably been more sort of high on the defense than most people throughout the year, but I would say that I've never been more confident in that defense than I am after this game. I'd also say I've never been more concerned about the offense, and specifically Patrick Mahomes. I just think that the hand throws, sort of a new wrinkle into all of this. Like before, it's been knee and ankle, and it's been stepping into throws and stuff like that. But the hand, throwing hand, that raises the concern to another level. I'm really interested to see what they say about that going forward this week. That's
a good point on Patrick Mahomes' hand, and probably something that we're going to be watching very, very closely in the coming week. Look, my final thoughts here from Foxborough, I think if you circled this game when the regular season schedule came out, you did not come away disappointed, because this game was everything we thought it would be, between two NFL heavyweights going toe-to-toe, and the Chiefs came out victorious. Coming up next for the Chiefs, the Denver Broncos and Drew Lock, who is on fire for the Denver Broncos. Big win. They win? Yes, they did win, right, against the Houston Texans?
Yeah, you should fly out there.
Yeah, somebody should fly out there in the coming days here and talk to Drew Lock, a Kansas City native, who will be at Arrowhead Stadium next Sunday when the Chiefs host the Denver Broncos. But for now, from Foxborough at Gillette Stadium with the A-Team, with Sam Mellinger, Sam McDowell, and Vahe Gregorian, I am Herbie Teope, and we will see y'all Thursday at Big O Tires.
Thanks to star photographer Jill Toyoshiba for her work on the Facebook Live, and to Derek Donovan for producing the podcast. We'll be back on Tuesday for another Sports Beat KC, where we talk sports in Kansas City on a daily basis. Hey, it's Blair. Hey, we have a special subscription offer for Sports Beat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns we have to offer. And it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. For your convenience, your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. A lot of subscription services won't tell you that. They'll just sneak it on there. We just told you. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star. Please visit kansascity.com/sportsbeatkc offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.